voice change. I guess it did last time. Okay, welcome to the May 20th, 2025 session of Tapper and HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I spent a lot of time at date, either getting ready or being at Dayton. It was a good meeting. Lots of things. We had lots of interest around the booth. The big things we were showing were some of Paul Elliott's projects, K9Q radio, which is still seems confusing to um, an average ham. And so we're trying to figure out ways to um, lessen that. And John Ackerman had a TimeBot AI demonstration. He's loaded all the TimeBot emails and all of their preceding papers they've written. And he's done it in a very rational way so that you have access to all the original documents in a link. And I think that's a great way to do it. And so you don't have to depend on the AI synopsis. You can actually go back and read the original things. He runs it himself right now until it gets too busy that he can run it out of his house. So that's it for Tapper. There were lots of interesting things. Some of the foreign vendors, I think there was a few less, but there were still quite a few. And so that was my impression. So next on the list, we have Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. It was a really great hamvention. We had the HamSCI booth right next to Tapper, and I think it was we had a lot of really great traffic, and that worked out really well. I really enjoyed having our booth next to Tapper because it really helped us to cross-pollinate ideas and keep things going that way. So I really appreciated it. I enjoyed going to the TAPR-HamSCI banquet on Friday night, and I know my students, Owen and Rebecca and Majid, all enjoyed it as well. So that worked out really well. We had, I was very happy that Christina Collins won the Technical Achievement Award this year at Hamvention. So we got to celebrate her, and I got to go to the awards dinner for her on Saturday night. So that was really good. I think it was just an all-around excellent hamvention. My students and I also went to Contest University. Rebecca got some good ideas by listening to Frank Donovan and Tamitha Scove's talks about looking at the personal space weather station data and looking at geomagnetic storm data for her undergraduate thesis that she'll be working on. So all of that was good. Let's see. I really enjoyed seeing the free DV demo. I've never played with free DV before. I think that was really cool. So I'm looking forward to downloading that and trying that out. On the way back from Hamvention, I was originally going to grade my communication systems exams, but due to an internet outage at Scranton, I couldn't log into our learning management system. And that turned out to be okay because I ended up completely revising the syllabus for the freshman foundations of physics and engineering course I teach on the way back. And the newly revised syllabus now completely integrates the technician radio class license program. The final exam is taking the technician radio license. I have them. We're also teaching them introductory Python. So that is worked in there. And then we're doing some kit building too. So my 6-year-old son and I built this $5 FM transmitter kit that you can get off of Amazon. And we did this over the past week or so. So we got it finished tonight, and it worked great on the first try. And so this was really, yes, it was amazing. I was so happy that I soldered this thing with a 6-year-old kid, and on the first try, we plug it in and it worked. And so then I then opened up a GQRX with my RTL SDR dongle, and we were able to find the signal very quickly on there. And sure enough, there's a little microphone on there. He could talk on it. You could see the signal come up. You could hear his voice through there. So he was singing to it all night long. And so it was a really great experience with my son. I figured if it worked for a 6-year-old kid, it would work for a college class, freshman class as well. And the other thing is I'm on baby duty tonight. So if I have to disappear, which I might just now, that's where I'm going. So I'll be in and out.
Okay.
So, all right. Back to Nat.
Well, thank you, Nathaniel.
You're welcome.
Next on the list, we have Dave, KD0 EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Not a lot to say. I enjoyed the trip and the Hamfest, but it's been so I've been away from any other activities for a good part of the last week. I had a bad toothache for part of the time, so I was and also a bit of a cold, so I kind of missed some things, but I really enjoyed it overall, and was really glad to meet folks like Franco and then talk to other folks in person. So it's always good. That's about it for me.
Yes, I also enjoyed meeting Franco in person for the first time. So it's always nice to make that, be able to shake hands and say hi. So next on the list is Franco, K4VZ. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I was really happy to be at Hamvention for my first anything. It was kind of overwhelming, to be very honest. I was happy to meet Dave, and Dave, and then Nathaniel, of course, and Majid, and everybody else that was there. I think actually the invention gave me ideas for a couple of things. Number one was impressed by Monir's presentation about FreeDV and free data, and I would like to figure better what's going on there. How to do that. Another couple of people I told to was the people that are working on the ARDC grant for another modem. I think it's called Hermes. I don't know if you guys told to them and so on. They seem to be on to something, so I probably want to try to. I think they work in Brazil and Mexico, but I want to try to keep in touch with them and see what can be done with that. And last but not least, I saw that I posted actually this morning that John Melton, our friend, has done some work on OpenHP SDR, some kind of visualization tool that he's writing in Rust. I don't know if you guys saw that, if you got a chance for that. So probably I have so many things going on, but my next thing will probably be looking to see if I can implement OpenHCR protocol 2 for the Red Pitaya TRX Duo, so we can have fun with that.
Yes.
So that's my ideas for now. So many ideas, so many things to do, so little time. Back to you, Dave.
Very good. Sorry. I've misplaced my computer glasses. So these are my driving glasses, and I can see pretty well this way, but I have to switch back and forth. I have a set that's just for computers, and that's why I'm changing glasses all the time. Anyway, next on the list is Scott Newell in 5TNL. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, nothing to report.
Well, we talked a lot about you at Dayton, so.
Oh no.
And your contributions to our project.
You're famous, Scott.
Yep.
In a good way.
Anyway, next on the list is Dave Julian. Go ahead. I saw you at Dayton.
Yeah, good evening. That was a lot of fun. I had a great time there. I got a chance to meet a few people and caused a little bit of trouble. So that's about all I got. But it was a great Hamfest. It was great to meet you guys.
Okay. Next on the list is Bob N5BRG. Go ahead, Bob.
And I didn't go to Dayton, but I'm enjoying hearing about the war stories here. In the past, there was usually some item that everybody got excited about and bought. I just wondered if there was a thing like that going on this year. Anyway, back to you, Dave.
I don't think there was a big, super big seller, at least among our group, but everybody bought something, but it wasn't all the same. And the one thing that you would have really liked is the AMSAT Tapper banquet. Was Phil, and he did a really nice job of weaving both his tapper and his work with satellites into his talk. And it was more of a synopsis of things that he's worked on and how he got to K9Q, but not so much about how it works. So it was a good talk. And then next on the list is Tom in 5EG.
Okay, good evening. Well, I also did not go to Dayton. Been doing schematic capture, making a lot of progress on the schematic. I've got the RF and analog part captured and learned KiCad. The first KiCad component took an hour and a half. The second KiCad component took 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
the learning curve goes pretty fast. So
Yep.
I'm going to have to leave a little bit early. Some things going on tonight. Back to the group.
Okay, well, very good. And we did talk about you a bit at Aiden, so your ears might have been burning.
That explains the funny feeling.
Yes. So next on the list was David McGaw in 1HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. We're just pulling into a hotel to stay for the night, about halfway home from Dayton. But yeah, it was a great show. Great to see everybody. Be able to work HamSCI and TAPR booths. And I picked up a number of things, both of ours and I got from George. He had an extra SAS kit, so I have that. And trying to remember what else I picked up, but we also transferred one of the AM Doppler radios, and found a whole bunch of other little things that I didn't know I needed. But I'm looking forward to getting home and being able to play with them. So I may drop off for a bit and may come back for the discussion. So 73.
Okay. Well, next on the list is Clint. KA7EOEI. Sorry. Go ahead, Clint.
Hi. Not too much to report. Although I'm following with interest on the potential replacement for the RX-888, and I haven't really found anything that's very descriptive of the project. But I do wonder if it does have the equivalent of the so-called preemphasis or the shelving filter built into the current designs, because for the vast majority of installations, I would think that that would be prudent to include in whatever it is. Anyway, back to you.
Good note. We don't have, I don't think the team that's working on that has documented the actual configuration yet. So it's, if you know what's in the RX-888, you know, virtually similar components will be in the next one, but there's always room for a little variation and additions or subtractions. So next on the list is Jonathan, KC3EY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. It's been a busy week for me. I did not attend Dayton, so I did not get a chance to see audio guys, so I apologize for that. But I was busy with a lot of stuff here. So the first thing that I wanted to mention, and I wanted to give a shout out and thank you to Scott Newell, the one of the unsung heroes of this group. Tremendous technical resource, and help, and always willing to help. So Scott purchased an M.2 serial card, which provided two RS-232 ports, and he tested it in his one embedded PC for use with a GPS pulse per second, and he was able to get everything working. He also tested, along with that, two serial to USB interfaces, because he was interested in the latency between the hardware serial port and the USB serial port. And from what I saw, at least in the jitter, there was definitely some latency, but he mentioned that the FTDI USB serial controllers tend to perform better with pulse per second than other serial controllers in their handling of control signals. So the next steps that I want to do is, because Nathaniel wants to integrate one computer to capture data from both the RX-888 or the replacement, as well as the sound card used in the VLF system. He wants to use one PC. So if this card can work in the B-Link, which it definitely has Linux support, then it could be quite a good thing. And Scott tested all that. So thank you, Scott, and I will reply to your email. Yeah, so the plan forward is to get one of those cards, to put them in a B-Link, and to figure out how to route the cable out of the case, because obviously there's no mechanical, mount to mount these things. So to mount a DE9 connector on the B-Link, so it would have to be routed out somehow, or something like that. So we have to figure that out. The other thing was, I sent information, the schematic and some information on the H-field receiver to Elmer and Clint, and thank you guys. Also, one of the unsung heroes of this group, with the technical knowledge that they have such a good eye. Both of them spotted two things that I completely missed, and I missed it for years. So the one was the schematic symbol was labeled wrong, but I fixed that. And the other thing was in the articles and in the existing schematics to this receiver, the primary and secondary sides of the antenna transformer was swapped, and not the way that it should be. So I looked at the picture, and I noticed that then in both the schematics that I had from Paul's original design, and the one that was built by a group in Vietnam when they were studying tweaks, both had the schematics wrong, but Elmer and Clint pointed out the error. And why this is important is because this H-field receiver design was used by Paul Nicholson, the author of VLFRX tools, since around 2009 and 2008. So it's been collecting data for that long. So I think it's a viable, valid design which we could use, and Paul freely gave out this information. So I want to kind of include this in the DAISY 2 VLF system. Lastly, I did some software testing for GPS daemon. There was a bug in the CGPS client that I fixed with Gary Miller, the maintainer of GPS daemon. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Okay. Next on the list is Phil Karn, K9Q. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey guys, sorry, just getting the right button here. I'm actually in Maryland at the moment after Dayton. Yeah, Dayton was a lot of fun. It was definitely one of the better ones I've been to in a long time. Talked to a lot of people. Had fun giving my talks.
Yes.
Sorry, a couple of you other guys weren't there. I was looking forward to me. I met Franco for the first time, although I didn't really get a chance to talk to him for very long.
You're around the corner because I'm in Delaware.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, visiting. My family's from here, and I grew up here. So let's see what else is there to talk about. See, I don't know if Rob's here tonight.
Yeah.
He's got Whisper Demon percolating along quite nicely. Got the Whisper Sans going, and I'm really think it's kind of cool that VY0 ERC up in northern Canada heard the one down at DP0 VGN last week on 30 meters. For all I know, it's happening more often than that. But I just happened to notice that in the log, so I thought that was kind of cool. Almost pole to pole with 1 watt on 30 meters, as heard by KNIQ radio. Anyway, I'll just ramble because I don't really have any notes on everything. I'll probably think of some leagues later. Back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list, I'm gonna let Rob talk at the end. So, Jim, K4BSE, go ahead.
Good evening, all. I too missed Dayton. Glad to hear it was a good one, and I look forward to watching the playback of some of the sessions. I ran into something very strange last week with my magnetometer experiment. This is the original magnetometer, not the one that's part of the Grape 2. And for some reason, the temperature indication had been sitting at around 19.5 degrees. And for some reason, it jumped to about 40 degrees. And it sat up there around 40 degrees now for a week. And I don't know what's going on there. The nature of the reported magnetometer readings has changed too. I was getting 2 lines before for each second, and now I'm only getting 1 line. And the 1 line kind of matches one of the lines I was getting before. But the other line I was getting before was much different, and never did find out what that was. And I'm not getting that one now, so I don't know what's going on with that thing.
Well, one thing is the temp sensor is at both ends, so you could be reading the other end of the path.
Maybe.
Well, I didn't do anything to change it.
Okay. Dave, do you have a comment?
Well, the thing that jumps to my mind first thought right away is I don't have a clear picture of what you were describing, but the one place that used to have trouble with getting 2 lines for every second, It really isn't supposed to report that way. And usually that would indicate that that the process got run twice and put in the background twice. So there were actually two
Okay, we're doing.
things trying to read the magnetometer, probably slightly out of sync. And you really should only get one report per second. That just jumps from, so that may be more correct behavior that you're getting now. I'm not sure.
That may be. I don't know what the temperature.
And what was the temperature before versus what it is now?
It was running about 19.5 degrees.
Okay.
It'd been coming up a little bit as the weather here got warmer.
Yeah.
I'd come up 2 or 3 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's reading about 40 degrees now.
Well, that doesn't sound quite right.
No, it doesn't.
It shouldn't be quite that warm even in Georgia yet.
No, it's not.
But I don't know. You can, if you want to send me a capture of some of your output, I'll be happy to look at it. Just email it to me or something.
I can do that. Yeah.
Maybe that'll tell me something. Happy to look at it, and we can, these things may not live forever either too. I don't know, but I'd be happy to discuss it with you.
Okay, I'll get that out to you tomorrow, Dave.
Sure.
And maybe we can talk after you have a chance to look at it. Let me know, and I'll give you a call, and we'll talk about it.
Right. Yeah, probably needs looking at after running a good long while.
Yeah, it's run for over a year.
Yeah. I know I would be getting contrary after a year.
Okay, I'll send you one before it started doing this, and then one after.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll get that off to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. So next on the list is Paul Elliott. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, unmuted. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I was at Dayton. I had a great time. Really good to meet those of you who I did. A lot for the first time, and I had a lot of fun giving my little talk. If I've got a link. I grabbed it off the Dayton Hamvention Forum YouTube site and did a tiny bit of editing on it, and I stuck it up on my Turn Island Systems blog. So if anybody wants to hear me talk and see my slides, that's one place to see it. But it's only mine. I think they're all up there now on the Hamvention Forum YouTube site. Other than that, just trying to shift back into West Coast time zone. And Rob, I want to compare notes with you about what kind of filters. We were talking last week about some filters that you might be needing or people might be needing. So, but we can pick that up offline too. Guess that's it. Back to you, Dave.
I do want to make a point that George Burkett has recorded a video of the people. So I think the ones that Paul is talking about are just the slide and the voice.
Yeah.
And TAPR will put up a set of videos that have that plus a camera view of the speaker.
Yeah,
and
so you can see my smiling face and everyone else's.
And we did record my talk, Paul's talk, the banquet talk. I think all three of those got recorded. So, and they'll eventually be up on the TAPR website or the TAPR video site. So next on the list is Elmer. Are you there, Elmer?
Unmute. You got to unmute. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm on a new station doing this. I really have nothing much to report. Just working with Rob on databases and getting ready to head out to Nathan's station when July comes around and resolve a lot of issues. So that's it.
Very good. So next on the list is Rob Robinette. We talked about you, Rob. Missed you.
I'm sorry I wasn't there this year. There's just it's been too overwhelming, moving and such. Also, as we've been working, most of you probably know the Whisper Daemon 1 server, a hardware Dell server in Fremont, California. I went down a couple weeks ago. The disks aged and got so bad that they couldn't, the server couldn't run. And it's taken us, we've taken the opportunity or been forced to upgrade the hardware, and we're reworking the software environment and bringing Elmer and me and help from Andrew Rodland and others. To bring also not just the hardware back up, but for us to better understand and have a group that can maintain that server. So that's a server that is used by the Whisper.Lives UI interface into the Whisper world and a bunch of other people. It's so we hope to have it up in the next few days and fully. And as part of this, we're doing major upgrades to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Geographic redundancy and to test the failover mechanisms so that we don't get in this situation, because we haven't, to our knowledge, lost any significant data. The data is being cached on the core server. Whisper Daemon 0 is caching the data, so all of the spot and other data, noise level data, is still there. But anyway, that what has consumed my time. And even if I had planned to go to Dayton, I don't think I would have felt comfortable to do so, because I had so much. I was 5 nights of going out to the co-location facility and nurturing the server back to health. So I think that's my major activity right now. I think it has some. I can't remember anything else. We'll get into other discussions. Oh yes, just for those of you who's PSK reporter, I've been working with Philip Gladstone. I think Phil Karn may have observed that the PSK FT4 and FT8 reports coming from DP0 GPN were not very reliable. Phil was using a UDP transport protocol, and sites like DP0 that are remote and have interrupted and corrupted internet connections were apparently dropping a significant number of PSK spots. So Phil has upgraded his uploader software, which is on his GitHub site, and I guess it's my job to test it. I've installed this software. I've failed to configure it properly, but we're trying to test it to see if sites like DP0 and VY0 may actually be reporting more spots, detecting more spots than they've been able to reliably report to Philip's server. Anyway, that's there's a half a dozen of similar little things going on the side, and I don't remember all the other ones. So that's back to net, and maybe they'll come to me.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rob, for all this service you do for the rest of us, and we really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the interest. That's the goal here, is to get people using the data. Nathaniel, by the way, Nathaniel, I think you saw that I did add a feature that you and Owen had requested.
Yes, Owen was very excited.
Oh,
he told
good.
me he was both very excited and very impressed that you managed to do it so quickly under such duress.
It wasn't really any duress. It turned out that I can't remember. I mean, I wrote it in about 10 minutes. I added the few lines of code, but when I first tested it, it failed to run, and the reason was it was my logging message was backwards. I looked at my log and it said, "Oh, error! Well, you weren't executable." Well, it was the inverse. The test was supposed to be uh, the reverse. So it took me 2 weeks to get back to it. It just shows you how, it's hard when you're working on something, whether it's hardware or software. At least for me, it's very hard to context switch. I just can't, it's hard to move from one project to another.
So I understand.
So you must suffer from this a lot, Nathaniel.
It's very difficult.
Yes, I know you have many people demands on you, but so I've always found that hard, and when so many projects and different things going on at the same time, the smallest interruption or error or misconfiguration can block a progress for weeks just because I don't get back to it. And that's what happened with that feature. So it's in there. Hopefully it's useful. And if it isn't, or Owen needs a little tutoring, I'd be happy to do it. Another person, it reminds me, another person I don't think I've heard from is the fellow at NGIT, the student there who set up a Whisper Daemon server. I don't remember if it's working properly. I think he had some problems, and I never heard from
Jeff, right?
That might be, yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So I haven't heard from him for a while. For any of you, if I don't respond or you have a problem and I don't respond immediately, yeah, it could be down my, it just could have gotten lost in my inbox or my frazzled mind. Just say, don't hesitate to ping me again, and just raise its priority in my to-do queue.
Very good. Well, that's the end of the list, unless somebody.
I have some very exciting news. 12 RX 888s showed up at the University of Scranton today.
Yay!
Very and Majid just placed an order for 17 clock conversion kits from TAPR, so that's in progress. So we're going forward with that distribution or those 12 so far.
Okay. Well, you need to get you need to get a dozen or more of the high pass shelving filters from Paul.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Do you have those ready?
I don't know. George would know, right? It's this George.
Or they're in the TAPR store too.
I don't know, Paul.
I don't know if we have that many. Do you know, Paul?
No, TAPR doesn't have them. Now, are we talking about just the filters or the filter preamp combo?
I think you need the combo. Well, it depends. Depends on. Well, I don't think you actually. I think you actually need the filter because I think whatever antenna we choose, they're active antennas, so there's lots of gain out there.
So we're talking about the 30 megahertz filters, right?
I guess so. I've been running all of the sites at 60 megasamples, 64 megasamples. Well, I mean, at 129 megasamples. And while it's not needed, right, you can to get up to 30 megahertz, I find that having the spectrum above 30, between 30 and 64 megahertz, tells you a lot about the quality of the receive site.
Yeah.
Because
that's why I was going to ask you about filters. Nathaniel, how many did you say you needed?
I don't know, 15, 20.
Okay, I don't have that many. Here's what I do have.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's, I don't know, it's 10 maybe. No, okay, but I can make, they're easy to.
Are those the 64s or is that the 60s or the 30s?
No, these are the 30s. I don't, that's what I need to figure out, who's going to need what. I have a design, but I haven't sent it off for even prototyping. I'm pretty sure of it, but it'll be filter for, 60 megahertz, pretty much identical to the 60 megahertz filter preamp I have, which I'm really happy with. I have I had 5 of those made. I gave one to Phil at the show, and I have a couple left. So I'm going to need to make more of those if anybody's going to want them, and I believe they will. I'm going to need to make more, probably the 30 megahertz filters and filter preamps. I'm almost out of those. And if we're going to want 60 megahertz filters, I'm going to need to send that design out, and it'll probably be good, but I probably only want to make 5 just before I make 50, if you know what I mean, just to make sure they work. So if we can, Nathaniel, Rob, whoever's interested, let me know, and I can arrange the priorities and schedule to, try to do the best I can on that. Happy to do it, but I don't want to make 100 of something that nobody wants, basically. So we can do that over email if you like. Probably better than doing it right here.
Okay.
Or tell me now. Give me a number now,
Well,
and I'll let you. Try to
15.
figure out what. Okay, 15. And do you want the 30s or do you want the 60s?
All right, I'm up for debate on that. Rob, what do you recommend?
Is the host going to be B-Links?
Yes.
Then I would say go for 60s.
And the filter only. Now, is this going to be used with something like Glenn's antenna system?
Either be Glenn's or the DXE, and both
so
of them
those already have the low noise preamp in front of them. So
yeah,
so
they have
the filters.
They have the might. Yeah, now these are low pass. Are they? But they're not shelving.
Well, they could be. I mean, the 60 I haven't sent out yet. I got a design, and what I've got on that design, I've got the 2 shelf filters, but I have 1 jumper that'll bypass them both. So it's 0, and it seemed like that was maybe the direction we should be going on that as an option.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so there'll be optional shelf, and that'll be a dual stage shelf, like we're generally using on the other ones. And then, the 60 megahertz aggressive low pass filter.
So Paul, I was wondering.
Yeah.
If you made only 1 low pass filter, say, they all have 60 meg low pass, and you could jumper in a 30 meg section or not. Would that really change the price all that much?
No, it would. It wouldn't if we're just talking about the filter, and that's actually a pretty good idea, Clint. I would. With the filter preamp, at least in the box I'm using, I'd really have to be careful with the layout just to make sure I don't get, weird coupling. It took me a while to, and I still, when the ones that didn't work, some of them I still don't know exactly why, but one way or another, I've stumbled on a layout that gives me good performance. But that's certainly a possibility. And if I don't have the preamp in there, because the preamp also has, power supply and all sorts of stuff in it, and the amplifier. So there's room on that. I could easily throw in a bypassable, 30 megahertz.
Right, because no matter what, you want to get the above 60 megahertz.
The
you want to
60 is
way
going
the
to be
heck
there.
down. You want to get it way down anyway.
Yeah, and my 30 wouldn't have to be. I wouldn't have to worry about kind of rebound or whatever on the 30, because the 60 will take care of that. So it could, as long as I get a nice corner on it.
Yeah, and one fewer SKU as well.
Oh no, I definitely like that idea. Okay, Clint, you're my favorite person of the day. I like that idea. Thank you. So okay, I'll get to work on that. I don't know. We'll see what the schedule is going to be like, but they're usually pretty quick on these ones. Unless I got to order a special, unless they don't have a part in stock. And sometimes these inductors and capacitors, they've, it's not these aren't exactly jelly bean parts, but I can usually find what they have in, something in stock that'll meet the needs. So yeah, let's keep in touch on that, but sounds like I got some marching orders here. I'll do what I can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, when if you just invoice us for it, so send Lisa an invoice, and then we can That's probably the cleanest way to do it because you're already set up to invoice her.
Yeah, I sent her the paperwork, well, on Sunday. I don't know if I've heard back from her. I haven't checked, but yeah, we'll make that work.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, you just invoice her for that, and then
Yeah,
I will.
I'm not going to send out an invoice until I actually have something I can send to you. So I'll probably, I'll anyway, we'll deal with those details.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And if anybody didn't notice, we're open for general discussion.
Well, this was pretty specific, but yeah, you're right.
And I can tell Elmer I just put in the 60 megahertz low pass filter on the mag loop RX 888 that he wanted me to.
Was the switch on the shock board switched to test mode?
Is it switched to test mode?
I didn't know if it got bumped because it
No,
looked like there was nothing there. I'll look again real quick.
It says norm.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it says norm.
Nathaniel, did I sent an email to Salisa for an order from Jamico.
Yes.
And one of those items is a power supply.
Okay.
For the power inserter for the GPS splitter.
Okay.
So I'm guessing since you ordered all those 888s, then you'll need then you'll definitely have a need for that splitter. So yeah, one of those power supplies is for the power inserter. Do you also have an SMA cable, an extra SMA cable, somewhere at the university?
I'm sure we do.
Okay.
I know I have some extra at my house.
All right. Yeah, because we'll need one SMA cable, a short one, to go from the power inserter to the splitter, and then from there, an SMA cable for everything that you want to connect to the splitter.
Okay. And that's for the GPS splitter?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will probably talk to Majid tomorrow about continuing to order the rest of the parts that we need for these things. Because
Okay.
I just handed the RX 888s over to Majid, and he's starting to assemble all the stock for that.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely need like a bunch of SMA plug to SMA plug cables. Obviously for the RF input, and but also for the GPS and the frequency input as well. And the other parts in that order, those are for the VLF systems.
Okay.
The power supplies and the cables. But on that note, so the power supplies and the power cable for Antarctica and Greenland. So they use a European 230 volt like type F plug. And they're usually they're obviously kind of hard to find, at least domestically. But that's what we'll need to get. We'll need to get two unregulated power supplies, or wall warts, and we'll also need a cable for the PC power supply. But that's,
You're talking about German type power cords?
yeah.
Okay, those are called Schuko plugs. And the standard plug that also is using Schuko tends to also fit French outlets, but the ones I'm thinking of have grounds. There's also something called a Euro plug, which is just two pins that are slightly angled that hits those outlets and a bunch of other European outlets, but just sort of. I recommend getting the standard German Schuko plug. It's a better fit and it's more reliable. I have tons of them because we go there often.
Oh, I thought it was like one standard Euro plug.
For Europe, you got to be kidding. No. Europe can't get its act together on anything. No, it's called a Schuko, SCHUKO plug. It's used in Germany and a bunch of other European companies, but not France, and not Italy, and not Switzerland.
What about Denmark?
And by what?
What about Denmark? Do you know if Denmark uses
Denmark has its own plug.
Oh.
Switzerland has its own plug. France has its own plug. It's also used in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Eastern Europe, I believe.
There's a nice map right here.
Yeah, there you go. See the real. Okay, the blue is Schuko. Yeah, that's it.
I see.
Yeah, see, Denmark has its own. France has its own that's shared by a couple of Eastern Europe. Yeah, Poland, I see.
And
there is a 2-pin plug called a Euro plug, which has 2 pins. The pins are a little bit smaller and they're angled, so they'll sort of fit all those different outlets, but they're not the most reliable. If you're going to send something, yeah, that's the one. Well, that's a Schuko plug. That's a Schuko outlet. There's a variant of that has a hole that will fit, that will accept the pin that comes out of a French outlet. The French have an outlet look just like that, except the ground is a pin that sticks out. To keep that one, that's the combination plug that goes or a French outlet.
Some of the wall
That's the most
transformers,
common one you'll see in Germany because it also works in France.
I see. Okay.
some of the
And
wall
the Czech Republic.
transformers come with little adapters or a set of them for different situations. and
Yeah,
you'd
if
be
it's
able
a
to get
wall
one.
wart, it probably comes with an adapter for the Euro plug, and especially a wall wart. The weight has a tendency to pull them out of the outlet. If it's a wall wart, you probably don't have much choice. But if you're talking about like a PC with a detachable power cord, you want the one with the actual combination plug. That's a French outlet. Yeah, that's French. You see how the ground pin sticks out.
Oh, I
And
see.
that combination plug I showed you will fit either a German or a French. That one will fit either one. Actually, that's a French plug.
This
Yeah,
is the
that's
one
the
that will
one.
fit.
That's the one. Yeah, see, that has a hole that will fit the French pin, and it also has a contact on the side that accepts the pin in a Schuko or German outlet. Can you tell we've been to Europe a few times? That's a Euro plug.
I see.
But you see how the pins are a little bit thinner and they're angled so they sort of fit?
Right.
They'll sort of fit German, French, Swiss, and Italian, and I guess Danish, but they're not a firm fit.
Okay.
That's the Danish outlet in the middle there.
That's the happiest one.
Yeah, the happiest one, right?
Right.
So, but if you want one, I mean, you're sending this stuff to Antarctica, obviously you want something that's solid. Get them the, oh, that looks like the Israeli? No.
It's a socket for the tilted flattened pins and half-round earth pin of a Danish computer plug.
Ah, okay. Well, I have not yet been to Denmark. That's Swiss. Swiss has the three. Yeah, that's a Swiss outlet. Yeah, Swiss.
Hmm.
Now that looks like it's
That says Israeli.
Israeli. Yeah. Now try Italian. Italian has 3 pins in a row, and they're 2 different kinds. Yeah, exactly. That's Italian. Yeah.
Well,
And then
Different
there's
amperages.
Australia.
Australia is the same as China. They have 3 blades. Okay, that looks like Italian.
Yeah, well, they're like ours, except they're tilted blades.
Okay, that's Italian. That'll also take Shuko, and we'll take French too without a ground.
Mm.
They don't seem to think grounds are very important. They're doing 230 volts, and they don't seem to think a ground is very important. That looks like a suicide type Russian plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one I showed you, try to find that, because if it's a dust type power supply, it's got an IEC plug. That the plug that goes into a power supply on a regular PC, that's called an IEC connector. And the idea is that the power cords are detachable and replaceable depending on the country you're in. That's why you can unplug them. It also pretty much implies the power supply can take anywhere from 100 to 250 volts.
Yeah, yeah. These can.
Yeah.
But it's not an
older power supplies have a switch. The newer ones are all adjusting.
But Jonathan, you're not going to find any unregulated supplies. Those are not allowed anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure you would find one that could take either voltage, because unregulated usually implies a transformer.
Well, that's what I need.
Why unregulated?
Well, either unregulated or linear regulated, either one of the two. Not switching.
Well, linear is getting increasingly hard to find. You may have to build one.
Yeah, those are hard too, and you're not going to find them universal, of course.
No. So Jamico makes them, and I ordered them from Jamico, but they're obviously for the United States, the NEMA 515 plug. So, but yeah, I need to find either an unregulated or linear regulated wall wart adapter for both Greenland and Antarctica.
I don't know about Greenland. It probably uses the Danish.
I believe
it uses the Danish
Yeah.
plug.
Well, what station in Greenland?
NAQ.
Is it Danish?
Okay, yeah, that's probably the Danish. But yeah, I've done a lot of work in Greenland, but we always were at a U.S. station, so I just had to deal with U.S. power.
I don't have confirmation yet exactly what power that is going to be available.
Definitely ask.
So I'll have to get some more confirmation on that, but yeah, as long as I could find something like that, because I just need like a 9 volt and a 12 volt. You know, 9 for the GPS and 12 for the VLF interface.
You might have to build one.
I thought that like you would have been able to find one, because you could still find them in the United States.
Well, you do have the option of getting an old step down transformer and powering an American supply.
Yeah.
And it's probably low power. So, I have one of those transformers kicking around, but I haven't had to take it in many years now.
I was hoping that I could just find the wall wart adapter.
If you you want my step down transformer, you can have it. I mean, it's just another thing cluttering at my house right now.
One suggestion, Nathaniel, you might look at Newark, which is also Farnell. Farnell is European, the European branch. They may have some things listed.
Yeah, I was going to look at Farnell.
Hey, I'd look at that transformer that you had that does a step down. I bought one of those too, and it was meant for a hair dryer. It said it had to have a certain amount of kilowatts for it to actually be useful.
Oh, those, be careful of those. Those are
Those don't
half-wave
work. That's
rectifiers.
just a diode.
Right, a half-wave
Oh,
diode.
okay, because I looked at that after I got where I was going, and I went, oh crap.
Yeah, that'll blow up your transformer.
Yeah, they're designed for resistive
but there are
loads
one. Yeah, there are dual use versions of that they have a 50-watt step down transformer in some of them.
Yeah, the ones rated a kilowatt are for hair dryers or resistive loads. It's just a half-wave rectifier. So by lopping off half the waveform, you get something closer to 120 volts RMS.
Yeah, you get the same power, half the power. But yeah, you can get some of the international adapters if they're 50-watt. Made for shavers and such. That's a step down transformer.
Yeah, I have a bigger one. I think it's 100 watts. It's got a Schuko plug on a line cord, and it's got an American outlet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you're welcome to it. I haven't needed it many years.
Yeah, the linear supplies are really supposed to go away because they're considered inefficient.
And don't forget that unless it says 50 hertz on it, don't even think of running it on 50 hertz. Probably doesn't have enough iron and copper in it.
Most power supplies that I've seen, even linear ones, don't seem to care much about frequency.
Right,
it's stuff with synchronous motors that cares.
Right, but I run across where if they're built to a cost, they'll start saturating and run inefficiently at 50 hertz.
Yeah, I've always wondered if that would happen.
Yeah. If it doesn't say it's rated for 50 hertz explicitly, I'd make sure you try it somehow. Make sure it doesn't overheat.
Yeah.
If it came out of Japan, it probably is, because half the country is 60 and half the country is 50.
As the term says, if it was value engineered.
Yeah.
That's where they leave the components out. Or design a transformer right to the tight spec. But yeah, I think most transformers probably would be okay at 50 hertz, especially if you run them at lower than full power.
Well, Clint has a point that they could saturate, but I don't think so, but he has a point that it could. And they would get hot even if you didn't load them.
Well, all right. Well, I'll look for the appropriate plugs and power adapters.
Yeah, if you need something or whatever you have only runs on 120, you need a transformer, let me know. There's a lot of stuff in my house I'd be happy to get rid of, and that's it. That's among it.
Okay. All
And
right. Thanks.
how much power do you need in watts?
I can't imagine it's more than 100 or 200 watts.
Oh, so this runs a computer more instead of just.
Well, I think this is for his lower power stuff that need a really clean power supply. The computer can run off of 220. I'm sure.
Right. Because one of the other things I've done too, if you don't need much power at all, is you simply get the dual bobbin. It's really cheesy, but it works. A dual bobbin, 110, 240 volt transformer, which you wire in series and you run it off the center tap. But you can only do that if you're pulling like a quarter of the transformer's ratings. But those are.
Oh, you mean use as an auto transformer?
Yes.
Oh. Well, of course, that's the other possibility. If you roll your own, there are plenty of dual primary transformers out there.
Ride.
I'm gonna say 73 for the evening. It's getting late here.
Right, Daniel.
I will not be on next week for Memorial Day. And I
Okay.
also won't be on the week after because I'm gonna be at the Super Darn workshop.
Okay.
Okay. But I'll be on the week after that. Thank you.
Is Franco still with us?
Yeah, I am, Rob. Sorry.
Yeah, you
I
know,
was looking something
okay.
for Bob.
No, I'm sorry to take this. I just looking at one of the Whisper Demon sites just said he can't compile Scott's Phil's new code, and it's because there's SDR play definitions that are missing, and I don't know what's changed. I think you're our expert on SDR integration with K9Q.
But it
So
should be able to not comment it out. It should be a define. I think I forgot. Actually, is it
changed in SDR
is
play?
loading a dynamic library now, Phil?
What's changed? I mean, I load their
I-
device driver. It's a package. I load it and it's been working.
I think that maybe I don't know what has changed in at his site, but I loaded the new K9Q and it doesn't compile. I can show you.
Well,
Can
doesn't
you show
compile.
the screen, Rob?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold on a second. Hold on.
Franco, you enjoy my discussion of European power plugs?
Yeah, I love that. I've been like, I've, oh my gosh, I remember those plugs. Like, oh my God.
Hold on a second. Geez.
Yeah, Italy actually has to have two power plugs. That's what I enjoyed about Italy.
Yeah. And actually, I remember our electricity was both 110 and 220 when I was little. Now it's all 220, but I remember having two different ways. That's in the 60s, 70s maybe.
Yeah.
And also, I remember another brand called BTCino, which had a special type of plug that my dad used to because they were safety plugs. Yeah.
And
I don't think.
not only that, in England on construction sites, it's 120 volts with the ground on either with 60 volts on either side of the.
Yeah. I haven't even mentioned UK plugs. They have their own.
Yeah.
And you want to get a ham from the UK going, just tell them that their plug is really badly designed. You'll get them going.
And also that ring mains are a stupid idea. That'll really get them going too. Although half of them might agree with you.
Yeah.
I remember tri-phase, they used to be 380 volts. If you had a big motor or something that was, it was the square root of 2, I think, of 220 or something like that.
Well, three-phase power is common, at least in Germany. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I took the class, it was showing how you might save with that. Let me see, Rob, what you had.
In some of the older eastern U.S. cities, they actually supply power that's 90 degrees out of phase-ish from the utility. Go figure that one out. And it wasn't until maybe about a decade ago that Con Ed in New York City still supplied DC.
Really?
Hey guys, I'm going to bail out. I'll
What are we looking at
check
here?
in next week.
Take care, Paul.
See you, Glenn. Paul, sorry.
Paul, where
Sorry.
are you anyway? Are you?
I am in Occidental. Hey, I sent you a in the chat here. You remember Willem Torink?
Yes.
Yeah, he wants to put two whisper songs in eastern Brazil in a few months. Wondering if
in Brazil?
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to be doing there, but he's got two different locations. Not sure what the big picture is going there, but You know,
Willem is a farmer in Netherlands.
yeah. So
What's he
I
doing
don't
with
know.
Brazil?
You got me. So, but it might be interesting stuff. If he wants one, I'll try to, make one for him after everybody else is signed up.
Sure,
theirs.
of course, that'd be great. I think that
But
there's
we
a.
might talk with him about receivers also, because we don't,
I'm
we got
working
central.
with. We have one in Brasilia. Unfortunately, his receive site's very noisy. But there's a Fernando PY to FHC has just put up a B link. No, it's not a B link. It's an interesting one. He's got a AAA GPS controlled AAA out at a remote site. He he bought a Xeon server, and it turns out that it is so that this is I think it's a 10 core, a hyper-threaded Xeon, fairly new. And the thing is so wimpy, I can't run it at 129. It's even with all of my, mucking around with core allocation, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it running reliably at 129. I hate to tell them that. It's so hard for them down there to get PCs, any hardware.
Yeah. One of the sites in Brazil that Willem's talking about, I believe it's quite remote. Don't know for sure, but might be a good receive site too. I don't know.
Nathaniel has a postdoc who has getting NSF funding to study equatorial plasma bubbles, and so he's looking for sites that transmit receive pairs that traverse the equator, and so that would those sites could be very useful.
Yeah, I was talking to Gwen about, that's one of the new modes I added to the Whisper Sonde was, because it might have been helpful for that kind of research, just basically a CW mode. But anyway, I'll keep you guys informed of what's going on with Willem.
Anybody looking at the chat here? I just put in the GitHub repository for the SDR Play API that I'm using.
Okay.
No.
Good night, guys.
Okay.
No. Wait a second. Well, let me see if I can paste here.
It's worked for me. So
but
that is installed.
Whose screen?
What happened is that they changed that's an old version. You have to use the one they have.
Nobody told me which one to use. I found it and it seemed to work. So
no, use this. Okay, let me just send you so you can cut and paste here. Let me see why it's not.
It might not work. So let me try it first.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find the chat window here.
All I can say is this one does work with my with the SDR Play that I have.
Okay, but the right way to do it is go in the URL here they sent you, Rob.
I see it. I'm the question is
my message.
Where the question is how I don't think that
this thing.
So let me tell you what happens here, because the SDR Play in the last year or so came out with two new models, the RSP1B and the RSPDX2. Okay, those models are not in the old API. So if you have an API that is a year old, you won't. It will give you those undefined values and whatnot.
Okay.
If you go in the link I sent you, give you the 3.15, which is the current one, and there's all the definition, all the includes and definition you need, Rob. I mean, and Phil, of course.
All right.
Well, I don't remember who specifies where these libraries come in. I mean, who's loading these things, these libraries?
There is a file called sdrplay.c inside of KNIQ Radio, and it gets built if it detects that one of the header files it needs is there.
Yeah.
And so my stuff will build with the package that I gave. I don't know about the new one.
I don't know how to get the package that corresponds to what you're. I don't know.
I just gave it to you.
No, I guess he's asking. I think how do you know which API to get?
Well, I just said this
so
is the one that I am using
because
that
it's
works.
older. It's using an older package, an older version of the API. That's why.
Right. It will build. It will build with what I have. I mean, if it doesn't support newer hardware, well, somebody has to support it. I don't really do
Okay.
SDR play.
Well, I don't even know where I did a get, if I ever did a get clone. Maybe I did, huh? CD.
Well,
I don't remember.
I did put it in the instructions that if anybody wanted to do it,
I
as
never know who would I wouldn't be reading them because I don't. This is the only site I know that has an SDR play. Is it? I don't see. I don't see.
wish people would just get rid of them.
It's a. It's not a very good receiver.
Well,
it's fine. It's just that it's the API. You know, I program for the API, and it's a huge PITA.
You can use it, but it's hardly, you know, it's I don't know where the would I so to get this thing I do a get clone
Can you
on
do me a
this.
favor, Rob?
Yeah.
Can you CD/use local include? CD use local include. /user/local/include.
Okay.
Okay, ls. Okay, type a grep. What is -i version -i version and SDR play star. Yeah, or star. Yeah. There is a number which is a float to which you have a 307. Okay, so 307 is 3 years old version. Okay, these files that you have are for an older version that is not gonna be. It's not gonna work. I mean, it may not work. It's not gonna have those symbols defined.
So I need to do a get clone on.
No, go in the site I sent you the link to.
Yeah, it's not a Git repository, apparently.
Yeah, it's not. Is okay. This whole stuff is proprietary, so there's no public open source anything here from now on.
So where do I get this? I'm sorry, did I miss
Okay,
something?
click on the link I sent. I don't know if you see the chat to everyone. Do you see?
Okay, I got an SBR API. We support. Okay, Linux ARM. So 3.15.
Yeah, perfect. That's what you want. They'll have
Okay,
all your
so
goodies.
I can I want to copy this link and I have
Download
to.
the file. I'll tell you how you do it because you don't want even. I can tell you how to do it without accepting the license.
Well, I don't have this. Of course, this is a remote system in Scotland that we're logged
Oh,
on
never
to.
mind. Okay, so download the file here and copy it over there. Actually, you can just extract the tar file, the include file there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just okay. So you suggest I get it onto my machine here, and copy it over there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what you need actually. So once you, I don't know where you are on with your connection here. If you are local or remote in that window.
Let's see. I have to download API. Let's see. I can SCP it from. I can SCP it from here.
Okay, if you can SCP, I can show you what you need to do to get the files fixed.
Okay, look, I'm trying to tell you guys this is not going to work with KNIQ Radio until somebody rewrites KNIQ Radio, KNIQ Radio's SDRplay.c to use this stuff.
You don't think you work with the latest version of their API?
Well, if there's new APIs in here, then I'm not going to invoke them, right? I mean, unless the API is exactly the same, I don't see how it's going to work. Now, I don't know what gave you these errors, because if you compile mysdrplay.c with the old repository I gave you, it will compile. It might not work with the hardware, but it will compile and it will run with the older hardware. So I don't know why you're seeing these errors.
When you say your old your repository, you don't include these header files, do you?
No, those header files are in the repository that I gave you that belongs to SDR Play, which Franco now says is old. All right. So, but it will compile with that older SDR Play repository. It just may not support the newer hardware, but it will compile with the older repository and it will work with the older hardware because I've tested it.
Well, I'm looking. You have a
I don't know
GitHub.
how you're getting these.
Your link is to a GitHub page.
That's correct.
Okay, so I can. I mean, I don't think he's changed his. I think he has the same SDR play he's always had. I didn't buy a new one. So
Well, I
hold
don't
on.
understand how you're getting these errors then, unless they've changed that repository, which I don't think they hadn't changed in a long time.
I don't even know when I installed this for Andrew up in Scotland 2 or 3
Well,
years
then maybe
ago,
he
and I
has
haven't
something else. Maybe he has
I haven't
something else installed, because you wouldn't even be compiling SDR play unless it saw some of the SDR play header
No.
files that it needs. There's a test in the make file.
Well, he's always had an SDR play at his site. So we have previous versions of Whisper Demon and K9Q.
Has it worked with them?
Worked with, yeah, compiled. So I downloaded your new code and it doesn't compile anymore.
I don't understand, because I haven't changed it in some time since it started working, and I got it working.
Maybe he changed something then.
Well, the giveaway is that it's expecting the new API. I see the error on the top. That would only occur if you wanted to use, if you're trying to use the newer. See that where it says R2D RSP DXR2? That only correlates with the new API.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know where that came from, because I have not changed
Rob,
SDR
I
play.
can help you fix this problem. I don't know what caused it.
Okay, well, okay, well, I'm going to follow. This isn't working, and I haven't changed anything. I think I must have long ago did a get clone to pull in this API at some, or downloaded this API for him, the SDR play.
Okay, I just recompiled my own SDR play with that old repository, and it just recompiled fine. Nothing has changed.
So Franco, the user local include file, is that K9Q, or are you invoking the API from SDR Play?
Okay, so if you look, did you download that file, Rob? The one I told you?
Let's see. I have to bring up another window here to copy it over.
That file is a compressed archive of the include the library and so on. So I wanted to show you how you can see the content of the file if Rob has it somewhere.
I just have to 4, 5, okay, 3, 5, 8, 4, 8. I just have to copy it over here and
Okay, so what SDR Play did was they updated because
they have a run file. So
That's right.
This is,
okay, so you have the run file. I'll tell you what to do. Do you have the run file there?
Yeah, I have the run file on my computer.
Okay, type. Oh, can I see your computer?
Here's I'll disk. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Make it 755.
I can see what it is.
Okay, so see, here's
header on a huge compressed.
Yeah, I'll show you what's in there.
Here,
okay.
There at the bottom. You can see it down there at the bottom.
Yeah, I saw it. Type this, Rob. Type chmod 755. That file. Chmod 755.
Oh yeah, okay.
Make it runnable.
Okay. Yeah, just runnable. Okay.
Yeah, you have to make it. Okay,
hold
that
on a
file,
second.
and then type. Okay, and then type / that file, and then space dash no exec dash no exec dash no exec no exec dash quiet dash keep.
Like that?
Enter. Yeah, like that. Dash, my bad. Yeah, sorry, dashes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, what should I say?
Everything has to be double dash.
That's okay.
Dash. Yeah. You create a folder. ls again now. It should be a folder called packets, CD packets now.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, that's handy.
There it is. Okay,
and then
here we are.
in INC, ls, and here are your goodies.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So you see, Phil, they basically package that, all the stuff in the file. You don't have to accept the license. You don't have to do anything. Just
Yeah,
run it that
yeah.
way. And that's what I do. So if you want, you can update that way.
I wouldn't be surprised if my SDR plate SC doesn't compile with this, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, I
So-
mean,
so-
that's probably you can keep current, if you want to do that.
So what do I need to copy over there?
Okay, you can tar those SDR H files together and copy it over to the remote side now.
It's easy enough to let's see, I have to split this.
Or you can copy the whole run and do the same commands over the
Yeah,
remote
I know
side.
that's easy. That's easier to do.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
It's up to you.
Well, I try to build this locally before, so I put it on some target somewhere.
And if you want, I can give you the URL you can call it from. So you can basically build a GitLab action to do a GitHub action to do that, everything in one step.
Well, let's see, SCP.
I can't test it here. When I get home to California, I can test it.
Okay, this goes. See, this is really obscure. Let's see, I have to. What's
I
this?
wouldn't just use rsync, but
48.
don't you use rsync, Rob?
I could use rsync, but then I have because it has the non-standard port. Then I have to get into these other. I have to dash e space. Okay, so it's just easier in this case to just do an SCP. To whisper.
I just put all the SSH stuff into a control file, and then I just address the remote machine by its name, and everything happens magically. Yeah, probably. Yeah, there you go. That should work.
That doesn't look like, oh, it's wrong username on that machine.
Oh, you're going to love this, Rob. After I gave my talk for the TAPR-HamSCI forum, I noticed that one of the slides I have is a picture of the equipment rack, and there are some passwords on the front of a computer to show up in the photograph.
I don't worry. All of these things are behind firewalls.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that kind of excuse.
I know. Well, I'm following. We're trying to migrate the Whisper Demon sites, Phil, to turn off all the remote password logins, and get everybody to. But that will.
As I've been saying, yeah.
Yeah, as you've been saying. So okay. So let's see. Here I have this package directory over here now.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So here I am. Install lib. What is that? What I run?
Okay, INC is what you care about right now, Rob.
This is where.
This is the remote site, right?
This is the remote site. It has the whole package tree.
Okay. Oh, did you run the quad dash what's it called dash quad dash no exact dash keep?
Yeah, I did that on
okay,
my
perfect.
machine, and then I produced this package directory tree, and I've copied the package directory tree to the remote site. Okay.
So, okay, I'm with you now. So you have a directory called INC, right?
Yes, there's a directory. There's
CD
I'm in.
INC.
You see, I'm in the package directory.
Yeah, I see now. Okay. Go in. Okay, so let's make a backup just in case we don't want to screw up his box. CD use local include. Are you root right there?
Yeah. What about local include? You want me to save it away?
CD. Yeah, I want to make a backup. So we don't screw up his machine.
Okay. Okay.
CD use local include.
Yeah.
Yeah. And copy all the str place files to your backup place.
Wait a second. I put SCP. That wasn't what I wanted. CP.
Okay.
There's two.
And then
Okay.
in LS save,
Actually,
make sure you have your stuff. Yeah, you're good.
let's see. Make sure that what's in save. Yeah, there's save include.
Okay.
There's the
Okay,
there's
cool.
the
Okay,
original from 2
you're
years
good
ago.
stuff. Okay, so now go back to the package directory that you were in.
There's
Yeah. And then CP those guys into use local include.
This stupid Zoom puts a some kind of editing thing right in the lower left-hand corner. I can't get. Oh, maybe I can move it. There. Okay, now I can see what was it? See, missing destination file. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to do too much at once. Okay, everything, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, permission denied.
Sudo.
Yeah. Come on. Okay.
Cool.
So now
go in that directory. Just go in that directory. CD use local include. Grep-i version star. Grep-i version star.
Wrong grep. Okay, grep version star.
And you should have 315, right?
Okay, that's 350.
Okay, now go back. Try to build it now. See if it's happier.
It made it. That fixed it. It
Okay,
compiled.
so I don't know exactly. As Phil said, I don't know exactly why you have why he has a different version of the API, but that's what the current version is now.
And that compiles. Phil's code compiles with these new include. So this API is it going to? Well, we can find out if it works. It's because it compiles doesn't mean it runs. It means it can talk to it.
I just say, at least you don't have any errors so far. But yeah. But Phil is right. I mean, something is amiss here because you should build like on Phil's machine.
All right, is there a strplay.so file now? Oh yeah, there it is. The last line built it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's the shared library that gets dynamically loaded at runtime if you use one of these devices.
Okay, so let's see. This WD. Let's look at the radio D log.
It'll tell you
the arguments here.
Stop it and start radio D.
You didn't do an install, did you?
I did not do
a make install.
I
You need to do a make install.
I forgot about that.
Put the .so file where it can be found by radio D.
Okay, so well, it started.
There you go. Okay, now the radio .so file is in user local lib KNIQ radio.
Okay, I just shut down. The middle pane here is the journal.
Right.
So here I'm going to start up Radio D. Looks like it's happy.
Somewhere it should have said at the top. It found loaded an RX888. Whatever it is using an RX888.
Yeah. This is one of. He has multiple 888s and he has SDR plays.
Okay, so, well, whatever you started has a 888 in it, not an SDR.
Yeah. So well, then where is the? There is. I mean, he has here. This is a super site. This guy's up near Inverness.
Okay.
And has an array of antennas.
Okay.
And just you let's see, VIC. What's
I've not been on this site, so I don't know what this.
No, I know. But just as an example, Phil, this is an example of why I have to continue to support SD, why I use the 1 minute files, because he has a bunch of Kiwis, he has a fly dog. Here's his list of receivers up here.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got one SDR play on a 4-square. He has a fly dog on a dipole. He's got 3 Kiwis on different beams, and a K9Q on the K9AY, and he's merging them all together.
Huh.
So
what merging means?
Okay. Well, merging just means take the best set of spots from each of these.
I see.
And upload the best spot that you get from.
I don't even know what a
this
fly dog is.
It's a poor clone of a Kiwi.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said one of them has an SDR play. Which one is that?
It's this one up here. RAS. Here's his list of receivers up here. These are his receivers, individual receivers. So you see he has 6 antennas, and 1, 2, 3, 4 different kinds of receive devices.
Okay.
Only one of which is a K9Q.
All right. Is he running KNOQ radio with an SDR play somewhere?
He's not. But apparently, then why? Good question. Why is he even compiling it? I don't know.
Well, yeah, if he's not running with SDR play, what's this all about then? Unless you want to run it, okay, and IQ radio with an SDR play.
It
will work. I mean, it'll only get like 1 band at a time, but
Yes, I don't. It's a good question. I don't know why this configuration asked.
Well, I mean, if
you
you've
to
got lots
compile.
of channels in 1 band, you could do it.
See what you do with the console first.
I don't. I think he has those include files there, because he's got some other software talking to the Raspberry Pi, and your software looks at it and says, "Oh, there's a header file. I better include it," even though you're never going to use it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because that is how the makefile tells us whether or not there's support for SDR play. You can go in the makefile, comment it out.
So we could have done that, but now we've learned that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry for this, but this gives you an example of the challenges when you've got 50 different sites running.
Understand.
K9Q.
Yeah, I know. I knew it kind of had this vulnerability to a non-standard installation that fooled my makes file into thinking that there was support for an SDR play.
Well,
by the presence of this file.
Well, thankfully we have Franco and you.
Yeah.
Okay, help me sort it.
By the way, on a somewhat unrelated question, I had an exchange with Phil Gladstone about feeding stuff to his server. That's how we came to talk about UDP versus TCP.
Yes.
Asking about unreliable feeds.
Do you want to go? You want to go and help debug that on DP0? I'd be happy for your debugging help.
I was just about to do that before.
I installed.
Yeah.
I changed. Well, here, let's go to.
Well,
DP.
I'm trying to finish what I was saying.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He went on. I went on to ask him about bands like 20 meters, where there's often more than one FT8 segment, and he, as an experiment, tried modifying the FT8 decoder to handle a wider bandwidth, and then modifying the receive channel to give it that wider bandwidth, and it worked. And he's finding signals outside of the normal FT8 channels. Yeah, I mean, you can grab the entire 20-meter band if you wanted to, and try to decode FT8 on it. Yeah. Now, I don't know whether anybody's running Whisper out of the standard bands. Probably not. But, if you think it needs to go wider, we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've learned something. You can see here's this. We could go to DP8 briefly. I can show you where you could go debug it. I've configured.
All right. Well, look, if he doesn't need to use an SDR play, if the problem is that it's trying to compile it when it doesn't need it, I will just have to refine the makefile to be a little more stringent.
Well, you can do that. I mean, this is the only site I've encountered. Where I've encountered this problem with your new software. So I wouldn't have you
for a more complete installation of SDR play to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Well, you know, we've got one site here, Phil. There's other things you could be working on. So I'm not.
Well, I mean, there's a problem. You pointed it out. I think the
Okay.
solution. I don't want this to break again on somebody else's site where they happen to have a different SDR Play driver installed, and I
Yeah.
don't want to compile against it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Because SDR Play is very opaque. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the versions do. They keep saying over and over again they don't support the Linux version. So, their attitude is screw me, so I say screw them.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It seemed very unfriendly.
Yeah. Well, the we can't get DP0GVN is we're down. It's not, we don't have access to it right now. So
I did a few days ago.
I know I did too, but at the moment it's not not logged on.
And yeah, Rob, I feel I need to get going to bed
Okay,
because getting late
no,
here.
thank you,
Yeah.
Frank. Oh,
If you
that
need
was
anything,
very
let me know, okay? But
yeah.
that's what you need to do.
Okay,
Take care, guys.
Take
Bye.
care. Here we are.
See
We're
ya.
on. Okay, Phil. Here we are. We're on GVN. Here's GVN.
Oh, you got on GVN?
Yeah, I got on just
Oh,
a
I'm
second.
okay. I just got on it too. Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was, I changed in the config file. I guess I did it in the source file. I didn't even do it here. So I put in his commit that supports TCP. So it's there, but I think he wants me to. He actually have to. Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't pull in the commit I thought I did. Okay. I've got a. There's no reason for you to debug his TCP mode. I can do it more easily than you, much more easily than you can.
Yeah, it's just I don't even know how the script works. It's written in
Yes.
Pascal,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a barrier for me. Or I mean,
Yeah. There's no reason for you to. Yeah. There's a table in here that where in my support for K9Q, although it's not. That's what drove it. Oh, that's wrong. There's a table where I specify the commits for each of the libraries like yours. So go down here, and I thought I changed it. Here's the table, and so I go in and I can optionally say, okay, this is the commit I want. I want to have Whisper Daemon install. So here's the list of commits.
okay.
So that's how that's how I track and ensure that I get a specific commit for each of the libraries. And of course, this hasn't been fixed to support
Yeah,
your.
I messed you up last week by not telling you that the KNIQ radio and FT8 lives had to change at the same time.
It's okay. The thing is that I'm staying at the old commits, so I'm using your old code with the old FT8 libs.
Okay.
It's a to do, but I've been bound to fix that.
All right.
But this is client
Well, the
code.
old one does have a problem that it occasionally runs away.
Yeah. Well,
Rather than fix it, I moved to the new scheme that I've been wanting to do for a long time.
It's fine. I see your point, and I want to support you, but
All right, it's up
I,
to you.
I've been buried in server, getting the servers back up.
Yeah, all right.
So I will. But this, okay. So anyway, I can change in the config file. I can change the this FTlib PSK reporter commit. I'll just get the one he has with TCP in it. And I think though I have to add the TCP flag in the service file
Okay.
that
That
invokes.
should be independent. I mean, he's only looking at my Verilog FT8 and Whisper files. That has not changed, so that should be independent of anything I do.
Yeah. Your stuff is I think pretty much disconnected from what he does. So
It's just that the current version of KNIQ radio requires the current version of FT8 lib.
Well, I'm not running the current version of.
Okay, just so you know.
Yeah, I know that. Is the first step is when I get back to the
Yeah.
Whisper Daemon client debugging.
That's why you broke VY0ERC and
Yes, I
bunch of
broke those
sites,
others. Yeah, and I think I've patched those. Well, what I've done is I've disconnected myself so I don't try to load your code.
Okay.
I've just and if
Yeah, and they still seem to be working okay.
I haven't I've stayed away from them because I've been working on the servers. I've tried to leave them alone until I have time to debug your new radio version with the new FT8. So I don't know if there was one visual annoyance I always saw. Your command line that you put in your service files, the FT8 goes FT8 lib or something -8, and the other one does FT4 something something, some arg -4. So they're not symmetric. The FT4 service files and the
Well, that's weird because the decode command in both cases is FT8, but there's a flat -4 argument that.
Well, you just placed it a different place in the line in the service file.
Oh.
It doesn't make any difference to operation. It just
Okay.
visually, if I do a PSAUX grep for FT8, I see these two things, and it's always the -4 runs off the right side of my screen. I'm never sure which one I'm seeing, so it's not a big deal. It's very minor, purely visual. Not in any way functional. Okay, anyway, that's what I'm. This is what I should do for Phil, but I really got server stuff. I got to push the TCP debugging off on for a while. Unless, of course, you want to learn all about it and how to debug. Whisper Daemon, but
All right, I just wanted to understand what was going on with the SDR plate.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, well,
I now
think
understand.
I think
I'll make my tests more restrictive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and let's see. Let me stop sharing. You don't need to see this anymore. Okay.
All right, let's lay here on the East Coast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see you. Thank you. You're gonna
right.
when you gonna be home, Phil?
About a week.
Okay.
This
Well,
weekend.
okay. Well, I probably will not work on your new FT8 before you return.
Things are relatively stable. I probably won't have time to change them anyway.
Well, it works really well.
Good.
Right now, what we have is working quite.
I don't know how often you watch PSK Reporter. Just keep an eye on that. If you see things stopping, let me know.
Well, one of what I noticed is that the Whisper Daemon sites are not at the top where I would expect them to be of the PSK reporters list. And it's unclear to me why that's the case.
I think it's because people duplicate reports on multiple receivers from the same site.
That's a question for Phil.
Yeah.
Gladstone.
There are some duplicates because that's why I was talking to Phil about looking at broader bandwidths because I have several channels in which cases that are adjacent, like on 20 meters. And I noticed there may be some duplicates that are on the middle that are picked up by both receivers. And I was wondering whether a larger channel might pick up only one copy. And Phil went off and tried it. And sure enough, it was very easy to make it work over a wider bandwidth, which would avoid the duplicate problem.
Right, but I suspect some of the people with insanely high counts. First of all, I don't believe that. I mean, like all the Whisper Daemon ones in North America pick up like 50 to 70,000 on a day, depending on propagation. But some of them, one or two of them, pick up like 120, 130,000. And I don't believe for a second there are that many signals out there.
Well, I don't know. It's on FT8, not different stations, no, but.
I was looking at my comparison was on the East Coast for Tom Parator. Well, Tom isn't running 888s, but Conrad N2YC, whatever it is, Conrad. He is in Connecticut, has a great receive site. He's like number 3 in whisper, total whisper spots, but he is well below. He'll report, I don't know, 30,000 FT8s and 4s per day. And there are other sites in New England that are reporting 70 and 80,000s.
It'd be easy to just set up 2 Whisper Demon things with the same reporting call sign and see if it doubles the number on. I'll bet it will.
Well, I should ask. I'll ask Philip
I think Phil said that he does do some filtering. For example, KFS Omni has reported 40,000, almost 41,000 in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually not unrealistic.
I think that's reasonable. The only impairment I could see on our implementation is that JT9, the decoder that you're using, is not the JTX decoder.
That could be.
And that was why I had that whole discussion with you, Phil, about the JT9.
Yeah, but they got to write that thing in a more modular way. There's only so much of this work I can do. Okay,
and you're right. I'm just telling you that.
Dig too deeply into other people's code.
Yeah, well, that's not. I don't think it's. That's not going to happen. I don't think you're going to get Joe Taylor and company to rewrite their JT9.
And I hesitate to dig into Fortran code too. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's that. I guess I'm not sure the JT9 is. I haven't looked at it. It's the WhisperD that's Fortran. I'm not sure the JT9 is written in Fortran. I don't know that.
Okay.
I haven't really.
And all the changes that need to be made are all around the edges. They're all with IO, not the decoder. It's opening files, locking common files like hash tables, stuff like that. That really ought to be done anyway to make this stuff more modular.
Well, yeah, I don't. You're right, but that's not. That's the WSJTX world has their own priorities and set of developers with their own methodologies, and I mean, I have no credibility in that or that world, so I can't. I find
a lot of people are very interested in the idea of using KNAQ radio as a DX spotter.
Yeah, well, that's. I think it's great, and we can expand it. I'm certainly, when people come to me like Philip did and wanted to add FT9 to Whisper Demon, that was a project that you noticed I supported, and continue to do so. So I'm happy to. I'm glad. I'd like to do more things. HFDL. Make that a
HFDL was easy because it was written in such a modular fashion. That wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. I had to make one small fix, and that was it.
Well, we could, I could make that a standard part of a Whisper Demon installation. Just as I made, K9Q radio a standard part.
Yeah.
And the grape is this.
Okay, it's pushing 11 o'clock local here.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
See you guys.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for your help. Clint. Dave, you referred to me or forwarded. We've scheduled to have lunch and take him to KFS on Friday.
Okay. Excellent. He was sending me back email saying, I can't get a hold of Rob, and I would really like to give you some money, essentially, what he was saying.
I wish Phil has offered money, and I can't.
Yeah, I know. It's the same. Phil has the same problem.
Yeah, he has the same problem, and I can't find a 501c3. I can't find another person in this physical, geographic region who's interested in being a backup supporter of KFS.
Well, I mean, we could. I mean, you'd have to vet them, and at this moment, until we get Whisper Demon sorted out, servers sorted out. I mean, you could ask for volunteers. We could put up a message on the web SDR, but then you'd have to make sure you vet people.
Yeah, I think.
But I
Yeah.
don't know if the Dave guy would be. I don't know if he
Yeah.
has the bandwidth to help
He
set.
he can't help. He lives in Pasadena. He's
Oh, no,
Southern
no, no,
California.
no, you don't understand. It doesn't need to be a five. Anyone in California who has set up a 501c3 could be helpful. It doesn't need to be in the Bay Area.
Okay, it just needs to be. Oh,
It just somebody in California willing to work and figure out how to set up a 501c3. If they did all the legwork, I mean, once it's up and running, the only thing you really have to do is you have to fill out an IRS report every year, more or less. You know,
Mhm.
essentially, which essentially means no, we did not make more than $50,000 this year. If you go
Yeah.
above 50 grand, it becomes much more difficult. But I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I can't do that on my own. You know, and my thought was I'd go and maybe once I get the server done, I'll feel under a little less
Right,
pressure, and I
yeah.
can go out. I was going to go to down to this Stanford Radio Club. I'm an alumni there. Go in there and see if there's any any interest in ionospheric studies, and get somebody interested that way, or go to the local. I mean, now I'm in Silicon Valley. There ought to be people, hams that are technically interested.
Well,
In,
the other thing too is, I mean, you could just have Nathaniel put out the word on the HamSCI forum that somebody in California be willing to help with this.
yeah, we don't. There's so few HamSCI. There's only one guy in Southern California. That's and he isn't actively engaged.
Right.
So I don't think that's a likely source. I think that it's more likely that we could find, like I was thinking about approaching the Northern California DX club. They're this huge,
Yeah.
and they're interested in shortwave, and maybe, and they're Northern California.
They're the ones that put up the bounty for they're the ones that put up like a several $1,000 bounty for ways to nail people who have been jamming the expeditions, I believe.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, I mean, some of the more recent high-profile expeditions have been partly wrecked because people just get on there and incessantly jam their frequencies and the stateside stations.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I don't know. It made the news a while back. They offered like $5,000 or $10,000 bounty. Like, if you can find these people and nail them to the wall, we'll pay you money. So, but I don't know if they actually did.
No.
Anyway.
Well, that seems like a better candidate. Anyway, I have a collection of 888s that I might send you. I have to test them first. Again, I have to finish the server, and I think everything else is pretty stable right now.
Right.
So what makes a 888? No, not always, but deaf. Is there a amp in there or the attenuator that goes first?
Deaf is in poor sensitivity or no signals at all.
Very poor sensitivity.
Maybe
Extremely
20 or 30 dB low.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one. I have seen them where they just go completely no signals at all, and it was the actual problem was the failure of the let's see. I have a dead 888 board sitting here. Let me can tell you which one it is. There's a voltage regulator that does nothing but run the A to D converter, and that occasionally fails. A 3.0
No, it's not that.
It's not the A to D.
No, it's super deaf, and the when you look at the SDR web page, it's the gain set to 32 all the time, no matter what you put in.
So there's a protection. It could be a shorted protection diode on the input, or so there's another thing too. The PE Peregrine electric step attenuator that's on the front end.
Yeah.
If you notice the forums for the Kiwi, John Siemens regrets having put that on there because that's the first thing that blows up on the
Is
keyboard.
that the same one that's on the Tiny SA?
Probably. I don't know.
Mine don't come until August. They're back ordered everywhere.
Okay, it's very possible. I mean, it's a decent chip. I don't know what's in the tiniest. I haven't taken mine apart and looked at it. You're talking about the tiniest A Ultra?
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be. I mean, very possibly. It's a common chip.
I mean, it didn't go on mine. I bought the amp and the switch, and doing those two fixed mine. But I also bought the attenuator, but everybody that was selling it said August was the earliest.
Yeah, I mean, if I ran across an 888 that had the blown up attenuator, I'd simply bypass it. Then you gain a dB and a half of noise figure. I mean,
that's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, the attenuator is as useful as a tit on a warthog, as the saying goes. On the
now, is it easy to bypass because those pins are underneath, right?
Well, I'd have to look, but no, all the passive. I mean, they're capacitive. The Peregrine thing is just the Peregrine attenuators. I mean, all the components are. There's no components on the backside except a few bypass caps near the FX3.
No. I'm saying that the attenuator is a under the device pin solder job. It's not edged attenuator, right? There's no legs on the side. It's under.
Oh, it's whatever that form factor where the pins are around the edge. What I do is I'd simply lift it off and run a jumper between the input and output blocking capacitors.
Oh, okay.
That's all I do. I mean, it would take only take a few minutes to buzz out what pins are which and put a little wire jumper in there. I mean, that would be a very easy mod. It'd be about as easy as changing out the 5351. Probably a bit easier just to bypass it. But I mean, little I have heard about the cloning of the 888 would be leaving off the attenuator because why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, whoever decided it was a good idea to include it apparently didn't go through the motions of doing signal margins because I can conceive of no possible reason why that would be on here for normal off-air signals. If you had a nearby transmitter, and if you were to say using this as a station monitor at an AM broadcast station, maybe so, but anything else, no. It has absolutely no use off-air. So.
Well, Dick's sending his, I believe, I don't know when I'll get it, but he's going to send it here so I can plug it into my station and check because everything we plugged into it was just extremely low signal.
Let's see.
I didn't know if the front end, if there's a amplifier right before the A to D.
Yeah, there is. There's the well.
I'm guessing that might be what's really bad.
But the attenuators. So it goes input connector, attenuator, amplifier.
Right.
So if anything's blown up, it would probably not be the amplifier. It's probably the attenuator, or it also could be there's a A7 diode here. I think the A7. I think that's a back-to-back diode. I'll bet you it's used for input protection.
Oh, yeah, what is low capacitance? Yeah. Well, Glenn puts those on his board. They're tiny.
No, this is actually these aren't very small. I mean, these are 3.
Oh, the ones on Glenn's boards are like.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, he has 04. He probably has 04 on there. Yeah.
No, I think they're smaller.
Well, this A7 component is definitely not all that small.
Okay. Yeah, the one that Glenn has on my tweezers, I'd have to, and they're micro tweezers. I'd have to file them down to a quarter of what they are just to be able to try.
Let's see. It's a BAV99 diode. Let's say a BAV99 diode. I think that's the pair of. I think those are anti-parallel back-to-back diodes.
Yeah.
And those are across across the input. I have a damn moth in here. And it's very possible that one of that is that's shorted out. Yeah, it's okay. It's yeah, it's yeah. So I don't know if you can see it, but I mean this is terrible, but you can. Let's see here. There's that diode right there.
Yeah.
I would that one there. I think is. Let me double check it. Let me ohm it out. Although I just realized I don't know where any of my meters are. I was gone for the weekend doing a radio project, and all my I haven't unloaded my Jeep yet.
Oh, that was the invited to the tower fun or whatever it was.
What now?
Is that the one where you were invited to come up and help?
Yes. It turned out okay. I mean, it was, what's going on here? Oh, here we go. I don't very often use this voltmeter. Let me just see here. Okay, yeah, that one. Okay, so it goes, okay, so the way they do it, it goes input connector on this, input connector, then there's that little choke that you remove if you want to.
Yep.
Or then it goes blocking capacitor, and then that diode. So
okay.
if Dick's lucky, that diode is blown, and all you need to do is pop it out and replace it, or maybe if you've already removed if you have already removed the power inserter inductor, just stick a pair of 914s there, and then those won't get blown up anytime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
You know what now it got me curious. I'm wondering what the capacitance.
Would the 914 have too much capacitance, or would they be okay?
Well, that's a 0.1 mic capacitor on the input.
Okay.
But no, the 914 only has a couple of puff.
All right.
I mean,
I used it for antenna switching. I just don't know what the response was.
Oh yeah, I have used the 914/4148 for RF signal switching as well. But you sure as heck do not want to try to use it as a pin diode for attenuation, because then it's too fast. There's in fact, in some of the early 80s radio amateur handbook, they actually have a 432 to 1296 megahertz tripler that uses like 4 parallel 914s. I actually built one. It worked. If you put in like 1.5 watts on 432, you get like 1/3 of a watt out on 1296 using 4 914s.
Yeah.
Yeah. It actually worked. It uses them in lieu of. I mean, the old days they used power varactors for that sort of thing, but this just uses 914s, which have enough, which work well enough for that. But yeah, I would guess it's it's probably that BAV 99 that's blown, or the attenuator. And if it's the attenuator, I just pop it out and jump her across. Jump her right across it. Because you ain't gonna miss the attenuator. I mean, if you wanted, I mean, yeah. If you wanted to optimize one of these for some application, might be a good idea to remove some of the extra stuff that isn't needed, especially if power was an issue. Like remove the Raphael chip for the tuner converter and things like that.
Oh, the VHF circuit.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a couple of single pole double throw switches.
There was a pop-up. I didn't read the pop-up. Shoot.
Oh, that was on the chat. That was if you dump the attenuator. Oh, I doubt it. I'll bet you it doesn't. Well, who's it going to complain to? I mean, I mean, if you're never issuing the command, it probably won't care. That'd be a Franco question because he's familiar with the code in here. But I doubt if it would care. I think in order to get any status from the 888, you actually have to pull it, and I don't know if there's even a way to do it because, for example, when the SI 5351 is blown up, and I've seen plenty of them, you get absolutely no errors or indications whatsoever that the FX3 cannot talk to the 5351. It doesn't say anything about it. So I don't know if the I squared C bus is even, if you could even pull statuses from it. I don't know if that's even built into the code. That'd be a Franco question. But anyway, I have this parts donor 888 that I've used to reverse engineer a few things. Yeah. Just anyway.
Well, I'm pulling the plug.
Okay, Elmer, talk to you in the morning, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe not too early. It's pretty late for you.
Well, I get up, I feed everybody, then I take the dogs for a walk, and then I do this, then I do.
Okay, well, anyway, I'll look for you in the morning.
Okay, doke. I'll see you all around. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay. I don't think it's you. Anything else? Oh, Clint. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I didn't. I went up to Craig's house on Saturday. Bob Knudsen was selling off all of his, trying to sell off all of Craig's antiques. He mentioned that he has about $800 in
right.
And he said it ought to be spent on equipment before he shuts down the estate in a year. So
Okay.
we've got a budget, and I sent you the email that.
Yeah, I was actually I was Brett was at the same construction event that I was at over the weekend, so
Yeah, I figured.
So we talked about it a bit.
Yeah. So what do you how do you want it to end up? Right now there's 2 B links. Wait a second. I think there's 3 B links. There's 3 B links. And a central B link that does all the Whisper Demon, and a bunch, and then 2 that have RX 888s, 2 more 888s that are attached to, one to a 6500 Think Center and the other to a Think Center with a 4500 CPU in it. And those are really, marginal hosts.
Right.
So my thought was a couple of B links would be nice, but I want you to end up with something that was dedicated, so that you had a web SDR that was yours, and it had its own RX 888, its own B link. It would be a stable environment for you. So I think we could, but I don't think you even need a B link, do you?
Well,
Or
probably not. I mean, the question is I mean, a B link. The situation where I can envision a B link would be is if we have a virtualized computer, and if we have the 888 running not I don't know, when you have a virtualized computer, or like what you're doing for Whisper Demon. There's one session that's running on the metal, right?
That's right. There's a host,
Yeah,
Promax.
I don't know what it's called. I guess the host.
Proxmax. I don't know. It's a,
Proxmox, yeah, but there's a name for the thing that is running on the bare metal. Then the other ones run on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, we'd probably have to try it here, but if we could get an 888 to run on that machine, then run the WebSDR instances and Proxmox instances, then we could have one 888 doing all the bands and having multiple WebSDR instances to cover all the bands that the 888 covers. Because with the WebSDR software, at least the current PA3 FWM stuff, you can only have 8 bands.
Yeah.
And there are more than 8 usable bands.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Roland's reports. You saw his reports in the Whisper Demon forum. He isn't the most reliable person. I'm not sure that I really believe his system is working as well as he thinks it is.
Right.
Because it's not entirely his fault. It's hard to detect some of these lost samples.
Right. I mean, you about have to have 888 web up and running, and then also know what to look for. I mean,
yeah, yes.
I mean, like the last samples that we were seeing on the 888 earlier, they with Web 888, it would have never really affected Whisper Demon performance.
Yeah.
But listening with a pair of ears, you would definitely notice this deafening crash once in a while when samples are lost.
Yep. Yeah. Well, those. Yeah, and I think we've done. Scott has added logging to his version of PCM record that helps identify and log when those events occur. But I think for someone who hasn't spent weeks at this, looking at log files and tweaking core allocations, it's pretty easy for the system to look like it's running well, when in fact it isn't.
So, I mean, there's no huge rush about this unless one of the current KFS servers falls over and dies.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I think they're pretty fragile. I'm going to go out. One of the things I'm going to do on Friday is two things in addition to showing Dave around, which won't take very long. I'm going to pull the WD3 server and bring it back here so I can refurbish it here, rather than out there. And then we're running out there. We're running without the qubits. I turned them off or I bypassed them because they.
The power supply, yeah.
So I think I have some lambdas here. In fact, I bought a couple from Bob.
Right.
That I think can be turned up to 24 volts.
Well, the qubits are happy with anything between 15 and 24 volts.
Okay. Well, I'll let me take a look at them before Friday.
And also, they do function okay on 12 even.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't meet spec until you get up to about 15, 18 volts. But they're not bad if you run them low. I mean, but they're perfectly usable at 12 volts. You only lose you only lose a couple dB a gain at 12 volts. And what you do lose is you lose high signal handling capability on the high end, which may or may not be an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Well, I think it would be good to get the qubits back in line, especially on the Omni where there's an 8-way splitter.
Right.
So okay, that's and poor Brett. I don't want to even bother. I fortunately don't. He really was taxed by this. I appreciated his.
Yeah, we were joking about what he needed was a little short video of somebody of a kitten being squirted with a spray bottle every time he screwed something up. because
Yeah.
he told me about Gwen doing a fat finger,
Yeah.
needing, just like, I can't fix this.
Yeah. I
And
know.
and apparently that sort of thing happening almost more than once. It's like,
Well, and I pointed Glenn at a directory that Brett explicitly told me not to do. So he was I knew I could see him having to. I could tell he was
well,
reining in his frustrations with me and the process. That was really
yeah.
good of him.
Well, well, yeah. So so the way I see it is we line what we probably need to do, and I haven't done a backup of the configuration of KFS2 recently, but have earmarked a piece of hardware if whatever is there suddenly died, we could recover quickly-ish. Which,
Wow.
but the big problem is you need those USB cards to be able to accommodate all the.
I have those. It's a
Well, and also a machine to put them in.
well, I'm sorry. Why do we need USB? Oh, I mean, if you're on a B-Link.
Well, so there's two pieces to this puzzle. What you do if tomorrow the existing hardware died? I mean, if it died tomorrow, the easiest thing.
Don't even speak it. I've gone through this on Whisper Demon 1 for the last 2 weeks and 2.5 weeks.
Right. But the question is well, we actually do sort of have a backup because the second server at KFS isn't in any better shape than the primary server.
Yeah.
But it does work.
Yeah.
And it already has WebSDR on it. And in theory, we could lose the bands that's on number 2 and bring up number 1 on it, and we could recover that way. The longer term solution, however, is just ditching the RSPs altogether. But do you actually, other than what's out there already, do you have a machine kicking around in which you could plug in those cards? USB cards.
I don't have a machine out there. There was one of the think centers broke. I have it here. His symptoms might be bad memories. In which case I could, it's an older think center though. It's probably a i5 4500, so it's older.
Put it this way. 1 gig of memory would be more than adequate for a WebSDR server.
Yeah,
a half gig you could probably make do with half gig if you had to.
Well, but if you're going to, it seems like what Brett has done for the WD1 and what we're doing on the Whisper Demon servers is running things under Proxmox.
Right.
So that and which allows him to make an offsite backup.
Right.
Image backup that could be reloaded on any machine in hours. And
but we have found a weird problem with the Proxmox. Like, for example, we got a B-Link for Northern Utah.
Yeah.
One. It's not the one you're familiar with, but we have Proxmox on it. We were trying to run the CW skimmers on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're running on bare metal, or if you're running on bare metal, we can spin up like a dozen instances of the CW skimmer on that machine.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we run up multiple instances, the total number of instances that we could of CW skimmers, spread across the other instances of the virtual machines is less than that number. So there's some memory thrashing going on with the CW skimmer that just absolutely nails the Proxmox to the wall, and it cannot do what it needs to do. So we were hoping we could just, we were assuming it was an OS related issue, that why we could run more than like 10 or 12 skimmers on a machine. No, it's some sort of thrashing of caches and stuff. We can have as powerful a machine as we want. we cannot get more instances on the B-Link running a 5800 or 5900 than we can with an old i3 machine. We cannot do it. Doesn't matter. Even if we're running on bare metal, we cannot make more. We cannot run more. We don't know what the problem is because the software is opaque. But we just, you know, it's kind of expensive to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're using one of our old we're still using one of our old machines for the CW skimmers. The main one is the one running Proxmox. But having all these extra instances and you know, literally 10 times the processing horsepower didn't help at all.
Yeah,
You cannot run any more instances on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm a bit worried about, you know, what we're going to have to maybe try it and see if we can actually run multiple instances of a WebSDR on Proxmox. Hopefully it doesn't suffer the same issue. I doubt if it does because Dr. DeBoer is a world-class programmer, and I mean, and he's very. I mean, this software hasn't been updated since 2014, and other than, but it's and it was capable of running on 2014 hardware, just fine. And if you were to update it now, there would be he wouldn't really change the basic core at all. In fact, the core of the program of the WebSDR is the same stuff that Phil is using. Like the radio. So yeah, so it's as efficient as it ever needs to be. All we're really missing on the new versions would be more features.
Yeah. Well, whatever you might want to choose, I'm just, you know, we should use this opportunity to establish, you know, some path forward because those Dells I think are in that bank of SDR plays I think is a singular point of vulnerability out there.
Right. So, but my point is that in the short term, if we can recover what something equivalent to what we have is be the short term contingent should something fail. But I
hope that works. I thought I had that, you know, that kind of a backup system working already, and clearly I didn't on the Whisper Demon server.
But it's a whole different animal. I mean,
yeah, it's a different animal. I know.
Right. I mean, there's really no database to speak of. Then the longer term project would be to replace it with like the Masbury WebSDR in the Netherlands. That's the one that Luke and they're doing. So I set up a WebSDR using 888s. Then I worked with Jan to get that Masbury working, and they've got all the bugs ironed out. And I probably have to figure out what bugs they had to iron out, and then we do that on KFS.
Well, so it'd be worth contacting them to see what hardware and as a path for planning.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing special about the hardware.
I wouldn't think so, but
no. And in fact, if you recall that
I think we're running the WebSDR on the i5 6500.
Yeah, we were, along with Whisper Demon.
We're wrong, and we wouldn't be running Whisper Demon on this machine.
Right. Once we figured out the optimal. I mean, we were hurting for processing power, but once we started doing the wisdom files properly, then suddenly we had plenty of processing power at 60 megasamples.
Yeah.
So, or
it does. The 6500 works pretty well at 65 at 64 megasamples. I think it may work at 129, but you couldn't do much else on it.
Right. And there's absolutely no reason for that out at KFS.
We
don't have a 6-meter antenna.
No.
And if we did, we'd probably use an SDR play for 6 meters.
Yeah. Or the HF Discovery Plus. Okay. Well, that's all I had to discuss. I think it's
yeah. I mean, we're using an SDR play at Northern Utah for the CW skimmer, and it works fantastically. As does the 888. You know, I jump through the hoops and build bespoke hard filtering and amplifier for 6 meters, and I'm about the only Northern Utah about the only station that reports anything happening on 6 meter whisper. And on FTA, it's one of the main. It's probably the most sensitive receiver out there, based on what I'm seeing on PSK Reporter.
Well, I got to go work. As you've just mentioned, one of my many little projects I got to work on. Okay, well, I'm going to bail out.
Yeah, I need to do a few more things too. So
okay.
Okay. Anyway, good to talk to you. I'm glad you're saying. I think you're reasonably convinced the light at the end of the tunnel is not an oncoming train with regard.
No, I'm feeling like I'm getting there. I got another few weeks of work, and then I'll feel like I can start to fiddle with hardware and go on. Okay.
And replication of the databases.
Yes.
And everything else.
Yeah. Well, I've got Elmer's help there, which is just great.
More people will lose hair over this.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bail out. I'll maybe talk to you on the Wednesday call.
All right. Okay.
And hi, Scott. Oh, good night, Scott.
Hey. 73.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
I think I'll close this down. So.
Okay. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.